Okay, so today we're going to do something a little different. We're about to step inside the mind of a killer. But not to solve a crime in the usual way. Instead, we're here to watch a soul put itself on trial. Let's dive deep into Fyodor Dostoevsky's absolute masterpiece, Crime and Punishment. At the very core of this whole intense story is one single, haunting question. Can you do something truly terrible, a great crime, if you believe it's for a greater good? Now, this isn't just some philosophical thought experiment for our main character. No, it's a theory he's actually willing to test.
But here's the thing. You have to forget everything you know about a typical crime story. Dostoevsky, he's not really interested in the police work or the courtroom drama. The real investigation, the real trial, it all unfolds right inside the killer's own mind.
All right, so to really understand the crime, we first have to get a handle on the chilling idea that sparked it in the first place.
So, meet Rodion Raskolnikov. He's this brilliant ex-law student, but he's completely trapped by poverty in the grim, dirty streets of St. Petersburg. He's broke, he's alone, and his very intelligent mind is just festering with this dangerous new idea. And that combination of pride, intelligence, and pure desperation, yeah, that's a lit fuse.
So, holed up in his tiny, coffin-like room, Raskolnikov develops this radical philosophy. He calls it the extraordinary man theory. Basically, he believes that history is really shaped by a handful of special people, the Napoleons of the world, who are so exceptional that they're actually above the law. They have the right to break rules, even shed blood if it serves some higher purpose.
In his mind, humanity is split right down the middle. On one side, you've got the ordinary people. They're just the masses, the material that exists to obey the law and keep the world running as is. But on the other side, you have the extraordinary, the game changers, the ones who have the right to step over the line to create something new. And the only question that matters to Raskolnikov is, which one is he?
He decides there's really only one way to find out. He has to put the theory to the test. And this is the moment his intellectual fantasy collides head-on with brutal, messy reality. So he targets this old, cruel pawnbroker, telling himself that her death will actually be a good thing for the world. But the whole plan just unravels. Her innocent, gentle sister, Lizaveta, accidentally walks in on the crime scene, and in a wave of just pure animal panic, Raskolnikov kills her too. And bam! That second unplanned murder just instantly demolishes any moral justification he thought he had.
And that right there is the central conflict. The theory, which seems so clean and logical in his head, just completely disintegrates in the face of the actual, bloody, chaotic act. He doesn't feel powerful or extraordinary. He feels terrified, sick, and worst of all, profoundly human.
Now, even though he escaped the crime scene, Raskolnikov walks right into a new kind of prison, and this one has no bars, because it's built entirely inside his own head.
Dostoevsky's use of the city, of St. Petersburg, is just masterful here. The oppressive summer heat, the suffocating crowds, the grimy apartments, it all becomes this perfect physical reflection of what's going on inside Raskolnikov's head. He's trapped, and he's suffocating in his own thoughts.
His punishment starts almost immediately, and it comes from within. First, there's the paranoia. Every look from a stranger, every whispered conversation feels like an accusation.
His terrible secret becomes this wall that cuts him off from everyone, even his own family. He's completely isolated, right when he needs human connection the most.
And pretty soon, his mental agony turns physical. He's consumed by these debilitating, delirious fevers. It's like his own body is rebelling against what his mind forced it to do.
But at the root of it all is this crushing, inescapable guilt. And let me tell you, it's a punishment far more effective than any prison sentence could ever be. Because the one thing his brilliant theory completely failed to account for was his own conscience.
But he isn't wrestling with this all by himself. The people around him start to represent these different moral forces pulling him in opposite directions. You've got Sonya, a symbol of pure faith and humility, who believes redemption is possible through suffering. Then there's Porfiry, the investigator who hunts Raskolnikov with brilliant psychological games instead of evidence. And then you have Svidrigailov, a man who truly lives without a moral compass, a terrifying vision of the monster Raskolnikov might become. But it's Sonya, more than anyone, who shows him that the way out of his mental prison isn't through intellect or pride. It's through something else entirely.
And this brings us right to Dostoevsky's central argument. You can't escape yourself.
It doesn't matter how brilliant your ideology is, it's no match for the human conscience. That is the ultimate, inescapable judge.
Slowly, with Sonia's guidance, Raskolnikov begins to understand that redemption isn't a theory. It's this agonizing process. It demands, first, that he truly and fully acknowledges his guilt. Second, he has to willingly accept his punishment. And third, and maybe most importantly, he has to reconnect with other people through humility and love.
So why? Why are we still so haunted by this dark and demanding novel more than a century and a half later? I think it's because its questions are absolutely eternal.
Crime and Punishment is really this timeless warning against any ideology that places abstract ideas above actual human lives. It makes us confront the nature of our own guilt, the painful path to redemption, and that incredibly fragile line between sanity and madness. And those are questions that are just as urgent today as they were in Dostoevsky's time.
If there is one thing you take away from this entire story, let it be this. It doesn't matter how clever the crime is, or how powerful the justification sounds. In the end, you can never, ever outrun your own conscience. And so, the novel leaves us all with a question to chew on. Dostoevsky seems to suggest that real morality is born from faith and our inner conscience. But what do you think? Does our sense of right and wrong come from our intellect, from our spirit, or from the rules society sets for us? It's a question Crime and Punishment forces every single one of us to answer. Thanks for joining this Explain.